Saturday, 12:30 p.m. at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea take on Brentford. It's a match that I'm going to be at. It's a match that my good friend Josh Aveste is going to be at. And we are very much hoping to continue our recent good form and get the 3 points. But Brentford are no mugs. And I do think there is a possibility in this match that we could encounter somewhat of an emotional come down after such an intense match against Arsenal on the weekend. We're going to preview this match. We're going to speak about Brentford. We're going to speak about their strengths. And also, you are going to give me the starting lineup that you would like to see Mauricio Pochettino pick from this match. But before we get into it, please do me a massive favour. People, if you are new around here, this is the Joey Knight podcast. I am banging out Chelsea-based content on a daily basis almost for you guys. So please do me a massive favour. Help join this growing community by clicking the subscribe button and also hitting the bell so that you get a notification every time one of my videos goes live. And Josh's channel is linked in the description to this video. So hit the link, head over to Josh's channel, and then you'll be able to subscribe to him and see all of his content coming out on a weekly basis. Josh, how are we feeling about this game, mate?
I'm feeling confident purely because of how dominant we were in the first 75 minutes against Arsenal. So I feel we've got to take the momentum from that result. We're unbeaten in 4 games. When was the last time we could say that?
Yeah.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
It's not since Todd Bowley's taken over.
There you go. So we should be confident going into this game. Brentford haven't been tearing up trees. They're lying in 14th place. Now, that isn't too far away from where we are, but let's be honest, they aren't looking as dominant as they have been in other seasons. So we should be positive about this game. Hopefully, it could be a very big result.
Failed to beat Brentford home and away last season. Yeah. When I look at Brentford, from a psychological point of view, I'd be interested to know your perspective. You can probably guess mine, actually. Do you think it's better that they're coming off a win going into this match?
I think arguably yes, but then also you see the opponent, Burnley. They are so bad. They are so bad, and actually surprisingly bad. I put them in 10th, by the way, to finish Burnley in the league.
I had them in 11th.
Yeah, so there you go. It just shows you. I thought they were going to be a lot better. I thought they were going to coming in with a new philosophy, young players. I thought they were going to be a lot better than they actually are. And so actually, it's a bit of a free hit. And so that result, I don't think it matters in the grand scheme of things. I feel that most teams are going to go against Burnley, especially at home, and just destroy them. And so I don't know how much weight you can do it. I think it's more about our momentum as opposed to Brentford's momentum now.
I think that Brentford's going to be a tough match, but I do also think with Brentford, again, there's certain teams like towards the bottom end of the table that we associate maybe, really being defensively resilient against us, trying to catch us on the counter-attack. If we look at Brentford's matches so far this season, that's not really how they play. They had a 2-2 draw with Tottenham at the start of the season. They've won 3-0 on the weekend. Obviously, poor form in between those two games. But I do genuinely think from a psychological standpoint, it is a good thing that Brentford are coming off the back of a win, because I think it's eased the pressure on them ever so slightly. And maybe, although you could look at it and you could go, well, there's no better way to keep winning than to have been winning. I do sort of think that there's a little bit less pressure on Brentford going into this match. And for that reason, I think it maybe makes it a little bit of an easier job for us. But let's be honest, Brentford are no mugs. They've always sort of put up a hard match for us. I think me and you were both at that match. Remember when they beat us 4-1 at the Bridge? Yeah. Rudiger absolutely smashed one in from about 35 yards out. But then Ericsson ran riot and the rest of the boys in Brentford pumped us that day. So we're very much hoping for a reverse of that. Just how important is it when we look at this run of fixtures that Chelsea managed to get the 3 points in this game?
I think just generally, setting aside the fixtures, I think generally now it's very, very important that we keep the sort of run we're going on. If it's then 5 games unbeaten and then we're going into sort of the harder matches that we got coming up, it's only going to put us in a very, very good stead. And I keep saying it, but I really, really believe this. Young players that we've got, they're completely confidence driven. And so if we go and smack 3 goals in against Brentford, Cole Palmer's on the score sheet again, Mudryk is involved, then again, like every single one of our players gets better. Even Sterling, I think, is a bit of a confidence player as well. So I feel that we just need to keep the momentum going. But let's be honest, right? We were talking yesterday on the kickoff about how we started games, and we said at the start of the season we weren't necessarily starting very well, but actually in the most recent games we've been quite dominant when we've been starting the games. And so we need to have this performance being a very good one from the off. If it is, I feel like it could be a dominant one. And if it is a dominant one, then you're totally right. It will see us in very, very good stead for the harder games we've got coming up.
I do think when we look at that run of fixtures, we play it's a who's who of, the big teams when we're playing them. Apart from Liverpool, who've already played, we pretty much play everyone in that run of games. And I think from the outlook, although football doesn't work like this, sometimes you'll pick up a result in a match that maybe you didn't expect to get a result in, and you'll maybe drop points somewhere where you're expecting to take maximum points. But when you look at those games, the Brentford match, and this is going to sound a little bit disrespectful, but the Brighton match, they're the two games in that cluster of sort of 7 games, including the one we've played against Arsenal now, that you're looking at and you're going, right, they're games you need to pick up maximum points in, because there's no guarantee of points in any game. But there's even less guarantee when you're playing the likes of Newcastle away, when you're playing the likes of Man City and playing the likes of Man United, although that is a match that I do think we'll win. So I think it's a massive, massive thing. And also, it's a massive thing we've started getting results now, right? We started getting the 3 points over the line. And at one point, we were only putting in performances. But also, yesterday we've got a point. It's a really good point against Arsenal. Let's have it right. Like, they're going to be going for the league this season. They're on more points than they were last season. After the same amount of games. And obviously last season they pushed Man City really, really hard. So although I think it's a good point against Arsenal, we're looking at the main positive yesterday, and it's the performance, isn't it? Really. So I think that it's got to be points regardless. I want us to play well in this match, but we do need to get 3 points in this game.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we can't keep making excuses and saying, it's all about the performances. We played very, very well. Yes, the point is a good point, but let's be honest, we should have won that game. We really, really should have. And so you're totally right. And this is what teams like Man United and the top elite teams do. They grind out results and get wins when they don't deserve to win. And we now need to be a bit more aggressive. And actually, Poch said this, a bit more needily, a bit more smart, doing the dark arts of football sometimes, where we're not all sort of nice young lads. We're actually sort of doing the dirty stuff to be able to get wins that we need to, and points that we need to accumulate. Because quite frankly, now we know that we can get those points, so it's about accumulating them and actually going up the table. Because if we don't, especially after this run, the pressure's still going to be on the boys, and we can't be in this perennial pressure cooker where we're sort of like, we need to get a win this week, because it's just it's not good for anyone. So yeah, you're totally right. We need to do this. We need to get a convincing win. But you look at their team, right? They've got a very, very good squad. They've got an elite setup, and their manager Thomas Frank, very, very good manager, and has been said to get better jobs out there in the Premier League and actually even more widely. But they've got a worse injury crisis than us. They've got 10 injured players, or unavailable players, I should say, including the likes of Ivan Toney and people that they've got suspended. They've lost their best left back, for the entire season with a really awful injury, and we wish him the best as well, because that no one wishes injuries like that. So everything on paper, while they always punch above their weight, they've got a system which allows players to come in and fill in even if they haven't been playing, because they've got a tactical setup that everyone knows where they should be, and they've got quite a fluid setup. It's actually quite similar to the way we play in a weird way, in terms of fluid positions, people knowing where they are in the pitch, pressing in a particular way. They play modern football. That's why a lot of people love watching them, because they've got this setup. But we should be beaten.
The problem with a team that play modern football and play expansive football and try to come and play us is those are the teams that I do think we're going to fare really, really well against. If you stick us against, let's say, for example, and I'm probably not doing the due diligence here because I can't even think of how they play off the top of my head. But if you stick us against, let's say, Sheffield United, who are going to come and defend for their life, very happy with a 0-0 draw, but if they could nick a point on the counter-attack, I think that's just as hard a match for us to break down a team like that as it is against us playing Arsenal yesterday in an open, expansive match. So I think that the way that Brentford play will play into our hands if we can be a little bit more clinical with our finishing than we have been in times gone by, and if we can continue to have a little bit of luck go our way, as it has done recently. So what you want about the Mudryk goal, it is something that I think was a little bit of luck going our way, but my God, weren't we due it? You know what I mean? We've had a lot of luck go against us, so we were due it, but luck is neither here nor there in this game. With a better team, we should be the team that win this game, and I do think we should be the team that win this game comfortably. So that being said, what would your starting lineup be for this game? Now, let's give it a bit of context. We're recording this early on in the week. We know that things may change as the week progresses, but obviously there is no midweek football for us. So we're hoping that barring sort of niggles and setbacks in training, the players that are sort of available to us from the Arsenal game will be now available to us again. Maybe one or two coming back in. So all that being said, who would you have as your starting lineup? Let's start with your formation.
Mate, I found this to be the hardest team sheet prediction that I've done through the entire season. The reason why I say that is because we played so well against Arsenal. And I just feel that we're getting so many players back now. It's getting really, really difficult. So look, as you ask, we'll start with the formation. I'm going to go with the standard 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 that we've been playing recently. Yep. We know that it's fluid. We know that that isn't necessarily the way that it sets up, but I'm going to go for that formation, mate.
So you're starting with Sanchez in goal, I'm guessing, unless you're dropping in for Petrovic.
Yeah, I think as we were saying in our last video that we did together, I don't think it's fair that we're even discussing Sanchez getting dropped. He's still a quality goalkeeper. He's made some fantastic saves. So I don't think for the rest of the season he's going to be dropped. I think he will be the starting goalkeeper. And if you're asking me who's going to be our starting goalkeeper next season, at the start of next season, I still think it's going to be him.
I think he's a safe pair of hands. I just think he needs to work on his distribution ever so slightly, but maybe that's tactical as well in terms of the instructions he's being given. I would definitely start him in this match. The hardest area, in my opinion, for us to pick right now is the defensive line, because I actually think when you start to go up top, okay, there's one or two that you might sort of move about, shift into other positions. Obviously, the formation changes as the game goes on, but the defence is the one where there's the most sort of uncertainty, I'd say, at the minute. So let's go with your backline.
This is so tough because there are players that are quality and there are players that are on form, and we all know that they're all good regardless because they're in the Chelsea squad. So let's start with right back. Malo Gusto, he made a mistake yesterday, but other than that, he looked very, very solid. He came back from a suspension and came straight into the team and played very, very well. He's in and around the French squad now, and you know how difficult it is to get in the France team. So he must have unbridled quality. But then you've got Reece James coming back, and he came on yesterday, so he must be fit. They must rate his fitness. And so for me, it's so difficult to name a Chelsea team that doesn't include Reece James when he is fit. So I just have to put him in that position. What do you think? Would you have gone Gusto in that role?
No, I do think that the thing is, we're all guilty of rushing Reece James back, aren't we? And we've all done this at times. The problem with being guilty of rushing Reece James back is if he was only fit and available for selection for the match against Arsenal, and then we're saying straight away we start him, then I could maybe say, okay, possibly we are rushing him back a little bit. But I don't think he was only fit and available for selection against Arsenal. I think that had it not been for the looming ban that obviously was just a one-match ban he ended up serving over the Burnley game, I think he would have maybe been given minutes off of the bench, 5 to 10 minutes in the Fulham match. That's how soon I think we could have seen him have minutes, because, as we were saying, we watched a lot of the training footage and whatnot. Reece has been on grass with a ball at his feet for about a month now. So Reece probably could have got minutes in the Fulham match. He probably could have got half an hour in the Burnley match. And then going into that Arsenal match, he probably would have started. So I think that the fact he only got, 15 to 20 minutes in the Arsenal match says to me that maybe we'll see him start in this game and then maybe, come off sort of around the 60-minute mark. But what I would say is, as much as I love Reece James, he's club captain, he's probably my favourite player in the team, I wouldn't be massively averse to seeing him ease back in a little bit slower. And although the player himself wouldn't like that, Reece wants to be on the pitch for every minute available to him, I think that we have got to nurture him in the right way now. So ultimately, it's sort of a cop-out. What I'm saying here is I don't really know. I don't really know what the best way to handle the Reece James situation is.
Yeah, I don't mind if Gusto plays at all. And I actually think that might be the smarter play. But it all comes down to how fit they actually perceive him to be. This is the dark art. We don't know how fit these guys are. We don't know how they're training and how they're recovering. And actually, I don't know if Reece will ever be, not like a bit of a glass player. Because he gets so many injuries.
You're getting a Ledley King vibe off of it.
I'm so worried. I hope it's not the case. I really hope he recovers from this injury and we don't see recurrences again. But if you've got a player that persistently every season is only playing 50% of the games, that's really, really concerning, even if he is Reece's quality. So that's why I'm delighted that we have signed Gusto, because he is a more than adequate replacement for him now.
You've just forgot to mention our best right back at the club.
Cucurella. Well, don't worry about that. I'll tell you why. I'll resolve that issue for you right now. I'll slap him right in at left back.
Cucurella's the man. He's starting left back.
So we're gonna go straight over to the other side, just purely because you wanted to give him his shout out there, and I agree with you.
I've always backed him. I've always backed him.
I think he played so well against Arsenal. I don't know how we can drop him. So for me, I'm going to just say, let's keep him in at left back. He played incredibly well. And I think, when we're talking about Colwill playing in that role, he doesn't necessarily always bomb forward. He's a bit more, he sort of like drifts inside. And we saw that actually with Cucurella yesterday. He actually did almost do that sort of Man City inverted fullback role. I think he can play there very well. So
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If both are fit and available right now, for you, at this moment in time, knowing the context we know and how the land lies at the second, who do you start out of Cucurella and Ben Chilwell?
You're so cheeky for asking me that. Because you know what? Because after that performance, you can't say that it shouldn't be Cucurella. But then also, like, we know how good Chilwell is. So do you know what? Just to be cheeky right back, I'm going to say Chilwell. Because
I'm going to say Cucurella.
No, you're not. You don't believe that.
I love Chile. Like, I absolutely love Chile. But Cucurella's doing it.
You don't believe that. You don't long-term believe that.
No. In the long term, I'd probably say Chilwell. But if he could grow his hair a little bit, it would soften the blow
and get a perm.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And I'm always a bit of a form pick, in terms of my players.
Yeah.
And I don't think Cucurella...
Like Collier's Wood Southgate.
Yeah, Collier's Wood Southgate. That's exactly my description. In fact, that's actually my my nickname.
Yeah, it's a bit random.
Yeah, please don't take that. So yeah, I think I'd go Cucurella, which then means I've got a very hard decision to make at centre-back, because Colwill is a stand-up player. He's obviously going to play. If he's not at left-back, he has to play at centre-back. So then you go, do you want the experience and technical quality and brilliance of Thiago Silva
off the back of a really good performance against Arsenal?
Yeah, exactly. Or do you want the youthful technical ability and pace of a Disasi? Now, I've made a pretty rogue decision here, and I've gone for Disasi. Now, I'll explain why. I think that Brentford's strong points is their movement and their pace. And because they don't have Ivan Toney, they won't be a big man up top. They'll be playing two sort of smaller guys that will be buzzing around. And I feel that the movement that they'll be able to do is probably Thiago's weakness. And especially if you are playing two proper wing backs. And I know what Cucurella does, he inverts, but you've got Reece. You know what Reece is going to want to be doing. He's going to want to be bombing on. I feel that it's almost slightly better that we have cover from a pace perspective. And that's why I'm going to Disasi. But quite frankly, we know that Thiago Silva will play.
In the match against Brighton at the Cup, we saw the partnership of Disasi and Levi Colwill. And I think a lot of us, probably me and you included, were looking at that and we were thinking, sooner rather than later, we're going to have to see that in the league. Because at the end of the day, we love Thiago Silva, but he's not Benjamin Button. As much as he plays like he is, he's not going to go on forever. And the likelihood is he's not going to go on at 40 in the Premier League, which obviously come the end of this season, he will be. So when we're looking forward at next season, the chances are we are going to see Levi Colwill partnered with Benoit Badiashile, with Axel Disasi, or with Wesley Fofana. And it's a shame that I don't include Trevor Chalobah in that, but we know the way the tide's turning with that. So we're going to have to see him in league competitive matches partnered with one of these. So I think this match could be that opportunity. And you'll always upset a few people when you drop Thiago Silva, because many people, including myself in months gone by, have said, like, stop talking about his age. It's about his performances on the pitch. He was immense against Arsenal. I thought he was really good. But I do think that Thiago Silva is inevitably, as any player of that age will be, is starting to slow down ever so slightly. Now, Thiago Silva slowing down is not the same as, Johnny Evans slowing down or a player like that. I mean, he's a bad example, actually, because he's also a bit of a fine wine for Irish standards, not sort of Brazilian Thiago Silva standards. But, it's not the same as your average player slowing down. It's still a very, very high-level defender who's been there, done it, worn the T-shirt, and can pretty much tell you more that he's forgot about the game than you even know. Do you know what I mean? So it's an upsetting one to have to drop him. But when we're looking at the future and we're looking at building this club up, it is something that we're going to have to see sooner rather than later, at least tested with different partnerships there.
He could be gone in January. He could honestly very easily be gone in January. There's a lot of rumours and murmurings now that it's obviously going to be his last season. We're not going to renew. And if the Brazilian clubs want to come in and take him, January makes sense. So we do have to start planning for the future. I think he will be with us until the end of the season, but you do have to start getting ready for it. And again, Disasi's been great. So what a great problem to have. I'm confident with that back line, and I think that's the best one to play against Brentford, but I can understand if you go Targo.
Let's move on to your midfield three.
Easy, mate. This is an easy one. Let's not overthink this. The midfield three are one of the best in the league. When we were talking about the midfield threes at the start of the season, maybe we weren't bullish enough about these three together. It's Caicedo, Enzo and Gallagher. It is that simple. Let's not overthink it.
That was it's a massively underrated video of ours, wasn't it, where we rated the midfield
Yeah, go
threes.
and watch that now.
Yeah.
Please go and watch that.
Don't. No, so much has changed. We put
It was a good
Spurs
one.
right at the bottom as well. They look mustard.
Yeah.
But what I would say, that midfield three video, I think we give it another couple of weeks and we revisit that.
I think we should, yeah. Let us know in the comments if you want to see that again. That would be a good one to redo.
Maybe even get Brian to jump on for that one, and we'll do something maybe on the kickoff or on this channel.
That'd be really good. Yeah, I'd be very interested to see
one.
Brian's perspective, especially because, by the way, he was very bullish on Tony.
Yeah.
Look how that's gone.
Exactly.
It's not gone well.
So the midfield three picks itself.
Yeah.
The front line.
Definitely doesn't pick itself.
It doesn't pick itself. And what I do want to know, playing without a recognised number 9 works really well against Arsenal, but it's horses for courses and it's, different strokes for different folks. And I believe that in this match, maybe we will need that vocal point. What do you think?
When we play a little game, I want you to try and guess who my number 9 or false 9 would be.
I am saying you go along that front line. Right. I'll tell you one thing. I know you're starting Mudryk, because you believe that Mudryk needs a run of games like he's been getting, and you're not dropping him after he scored sort of 2 in his last 2 starts. I really don't want to have to end this friendship with you. So if you don't start Cole Palmer, I'm going to be fuming. I think the most likely player that I could see you possibly maybe dropping is Sterling, which some people think is crazy. You're going... Let me say you're going Mudryk, Palmer, Brower.
Do you know what? You've nailed it. You've nailed it. Guys, I have to say, he knows me too well.
I'm good at this, aren't I?
We've done this too much.
Yeah.
That is exactly the front three that I picked, and I'll explain one by one. You've done a good job.
Can I just say, because people will be like thinking, no, he did not guess that. That is off the cuff.
That's totally off the cuff. You nailed it. And actually, the one that I wasn't sure on is Sterling versus Palmer. And I actually started with Sterling on the right-hand side because I think, after the Burnley performance, you can't drop him. But then you certainly can't drop Cole Palmer after the Arsenal performance. And he did play very well on the right-hand side. And it would allow Reece or Gusto to bomb on if Cole Palmer's inverting and becoming a bit more central. So I would put Palmer there. I would go Broja because I think his physicality in the way that he holds up the ball does get the best out of other players around him. It would get the best out of Gallagher, who would be able to sort of like do his amazing outside the box shots that he's known for, and we haven't really seen him do that much this season.
And in the couple of times that we've seen him under Broja so far since he's come back in, we're yet to see a real Broja performance, aren't we?
Yeah, we don't know if he's going to be fit enough. And look, we are, as you say, we are filming this early on in the week, and he could absolutely be not fit enough because he's had some swelling around his knee, which is not good at all. It's quite scary, actually. I don't know. Maybe he's again going to be one of those players that will never be fit again because he had a very significant injury. Very significant.
It's a bad
injury.
one to have at a young age. Like, a lot of players don't come back from that sort of injury. Obviously, we're massively hopeful that he does, because the sort of tenaciousness from Broja that we saw, that physical directness, for me, and I've said this before, puts him in that same mould of the likes of a Haaland and Ibrahimovic, those sort of real physical dominant number 9s. I'm not saying he's on the same level, I'm saying he's in that mould.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he is. And he is completely different to Jackson. And he bosses defences in a way that Jackson just isn't doing at the moment because of his sort of like, Jackson is more reliant on pace and movement, whereas Broja's more reliant on his build and his ability to bring other players into the game. And that's why when we're talking about difficulties picking wingers, that's why you need a focal point, a centre forward to be able to do that. And that's why I've gone for him in this choice. And then, you know, speaking about Mudryk, yes, I am a complete Mudryk fanboy, right? And I will ride and die with this guy to the end. The reason why I do that, though, is because I've seen the potential that he has. And whether he meant that goal or not, he's still in a very rich goal-scoring run of form now at the moment. He got the unbelievable goal for Ukraine, which we have to just shout out as being technically amazing. And so there's no reason why he should get dropped. And I think if he does, it would be really harsh. And as you say, we need to be backing these boys and giving them a run of games to be able to get their confidence up.
So that's your lineup. It's a strong lineup. It's obviously a little bit rotated, but we're always going to see that in a minute with players coming back from injury and whatnot. Let's have a score prediction for you for this match.
3-1. I'm going to go for. I do think they score purely because they play the numbers. Like they know how to get it around teams, and I feel that they will be quite open in the defensive area. So I could see them scoring, but I just think we are going to be quite dominant in this game and we'll get a few goals. What do you think?
I think we keep a clean sheet, you know. I'm thinking, do you know what? I don't want to be too overly optimistic because part of me saying I think we could stick 3 or 4 past these lot, but I'm going to go a 2-0 win. 2-0 in this match. But obviously, it's a match that me and Josh will be in attendance for. It's a match that we'll obviously be reviewing as we always do after that game. And we want to know your lot's thoughts. What would your starting lineups be for this match? And let's have your score predictions in the comments below. Please do me a massive favour. Head over to Josh's channel. It's linked in the description to this video. Make sure you're subscribed to see all the content that he's banging out. And if you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Hit the subscribe button, click the bell so that you get a notification every time one of my videos goes live, and I will see you all in the next one.